Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Robin and in this tutorial I'm going to show you step by step how to set up a successful email marketing campaign with Sendinblue. So quick note here, I'm not selling anything. There are no courses and no pitch at the end to buy my $1,000 email marketing course. So the truth is that you don't have to spend any money to learn email marketing, especially as a beginner. And I'm going to show you everything you need to know. So this is a beginner to intermediate guide to getting success with email marketing with Sendinblue. I'm going to give you as much information as possible in this video, so I recommend you don't take this video lightly. So this is not a 10-minute email marketing tips video. Email marketing is a serious game which you cannot explain within 10 minutes. And if you want to succeed with email marketing, you need to take all the steps I'm covering in this video seriously. It's also essential to know that this video is not a sit back and relax video. So make sure you take some time to listen and follow the steps I explain in this video so you and I can just go over them together. Also do note that there are lots of businesses that make hundreds of thousands of dollars with email marketing or even millions. You won't find overnight success with email marketing. Tomorrow you will not wake up with a list of thousands of subscribers that are eager to hear from you. It takes time and effort to build an email list. So hopefully you already have some kind of business or project going, so you can use that while following the steps in this video. Or in the best case, you already have a database of contacts ready to import into Sendinblue. So let's have a look at what we'll discuss in this tutorial. So the first thing, I'll show you step by step how to sign up for the email marketing tool Sendinblue. So Sendinblue is an affordable email marketing tool that you can use as a beginner or intermediate email marketer. Next, I'll show you how you can import a spreadsheet of contacts and how you can create segments based upon data such as what state your contacts are in. I'll also show you how you can create a newsletter and how you can send a newsletter to specific segments of your audience. But for those who want to learn some more intermediate email marketing tactics, I got you covered as well, since I'll go over how you can add sign-up forms to your website and create, for example, a segment of weekly and monthly newsletter subscribers. So you can send weekly newsletters to the ones that wants to hear from you weekly and monthly newsletters to the ones that wants to hear from you monthly. I'll also show you what you can do with the automated workflows with email marketing within Sendinblue. And my automated workflows chapter is for beginners and intermediate email marketers. So without further ado, let's start with the first chapter of this Sendinblue tutorial to help you get started with email marketing. So I will now show you how to sign up for a free Sendinblue account. And if you don't have a Sendinblue account yet, please use my Sendinblue link in the description. So it will be the first link in the description. And as a thank you for using my Sendinblue link, I will give you this 50 daily newsletter signups. I wrote this ebook. It's a 10-page ebook where I'll go over the 3 steps that I took to get to 50 daily newsletter signups per day with my business. And I'll give you this ebook for free as a thank you for using my Sendinblue link. You can see my email address at the top right corner of the screen right now. Just send me an email and I'll send you this ebook for free. After you've clicked my link in the description, you'll see this page and we can click on the sign up for free button over here. And here we need to fill in an email address and a password. So I just entered my email address, I entered a password, and I'll click on create an account. So now we should have received an email from Sendinblue and we need to verify our email address. So now I've received this email from Sendinblue, and if you didn't receive any email, you can resend the email, but also make sure you check your spam or promotion folder. Maybe it ended up there. So finish creating your account. We need to click on this button to confirm my email address. So here we need to fill in our first name, our last name, and our phone number. So we need to validate our account by sending a code to our phone number. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna click on send code. I need to add a verification code I will receive on my phone. So my phone is verified. I'm going to click on next. Add your company address. So you need to fill in your details. I'm going to click on next. So we need to fill in these things, team size, before we can continue. Do you sell online? Yes or no? Whether you want to receive important product updates and new feature releases. I'm going to keep that one deselected. I'm going to click on save. Now they show you the options for selecting a premium plan, but you can also continue with a free plan, and that is what we will do in this tutorial. So I'll use the features of the free plan, continue with the free plan. So that's it basically for setting up your account. So in the next chapter of this tutorial, we'll look at how to import contacts into Sendinblue. But if you don't have any contacts yet, so if you don't have a spreadsheet of contacts ready to import into Sendinblue, I still suggest you watch that video because I'll go over some segments segmentation strategies you can use inside Sendinblue when adding contacts to your account. So to add your own custom email address, you're gonna go to the top right corner over here, and then you're gonna click on senders and IP. And here you can add multiple email addresses. You can add your own custom domains. Note that you do not want to send a newsletter from a Gmail address, for example. You only want to send a newsletter from your own custom domain, so like an info@email address or another custom email address. So if you don't have a domain name yet, you can purchase one over at Bluehost. What I did for my website, creatorrack.com. Know that Bluehost is a web hosting company, so there you purchase a web hosting. So if you don't need a website and you only need a domain name for an email address, you can also use hover.com. The hover.com is an email hosting only, so there you can purchase a domain name and an email hosting. So it is cheaper than purchasing a web hosting as well. But if you purchase a web hosting, for example, over at Bluehost, what I did for my website, you will get an email hosting as well. So inside the Bluehost account I can create 3 email addresses for this specific domain. So as you can see, I already added a couple of domains to make sure it works. And it's pretty straightforward. You're going to click on this button over here, add a new sender, and then you're going to fill in your name. So the name you want to add to that specific email address that people will see when you send a newsletter from that specific email address. And in this field, you're going to add the email address. And once you click on the next step, you will receive an email from Sendinblue to confirm your new email address. And once you confirmed your new email address, the email address will be verified in their system. But note that it is possible that you will not receive a confirmation email. For some reason, when I added these 2 email addresses, I did not receive any confirmation email. So I created a ticket. So if I open a new tab over here, and if I click the top right over here, my profile, and go to supports and tickets. So I created a ticket and told them that I didn't receive any confirmation email. So they verified my email addresses manually. So then we have another option, which is the domain tab over here. So if we click on that domain tab, and here we can add a new domain. So as you can see, I added the creatoract.com domain and the hipper.com domain. So these are both my domains. I added them for test purposes. So if I click on the authenticate this domain, here you can see that my domain is already authorized inside Sendinblue. So I added these codes inside my DNS tab in the domain, and I will show you in a bit how I did that. And just to make sure you understand, the advantage of adding your own domain inside this tab is that it will improve your deliverability rate according to Sendinblue. So it's definitely worth it to add your own domain, to change the DNS settings inside your domain, to add your domain inside Sendinblue. So if you want to add a new domain, you're going to click on add a new domain, and here you're going to fill in your domain name. So I'm just going to add an example over here. So then you want to enable this option over here, and this will improve your deliverability rate. So here are some other advantages why verify a domain. So this is the Sendinblue website. So domain verification on the Sendinblue enables you to save precious time if you want to create multiple senders on the same domain. So for example, if you want to add multiple senders, what we did at the beginning. So if you want to add multiple email addresses, you can do that in an instant instead of confirming their email address every single time. So here we have another blog on the Sendinblue website. So best practices for email deliverability. And if we scroll down a little bit, here we see one of the tips is set up a sender authentication. And this is what we're going to do inside this tab over here. So I'm going to click on save, and now you will see this pop up over here, and these are the codes you want to add to your DNS record. So I'm going to close this one because this is just a test domain, obviously. So I'm going to open the creatoract.com to see, so you can see how I did it. So I'm going to open my Bluehost portal, and if we go to the DNS tab, so I'm already in the DNS tab. So if you have Bluehost as well, you're going to click on domains, my domains, and then you can select your domain and select the DNS tab. So if you have a different hosting, so for example, if you purchased your domain over at hover.com, what I suggested, if you don't need an email, if you don't need a web hosting, if you only need an email hosting, like every hosting company has a DNS tab for their domain. So it might look different if you have a different hosting, but it doesn't really matter. So what you're going to do is you're going to add text records. So for example, inside the Bluehost DNS tab, you have different categories. So you have the A records category with the CNAME category, the MX category, this one, and here we have the text record category. But it is also possible that there is just one category, and then when you click on add records, you're gonna select what kind of category you want to add. So there you can select the text category. So here's the text category in my case. I'm going to click on show all over here so you can see the records I added for the Sendinblue. So I added 4 records inside this text category of the DNS tab. So I added this one. So here you see mail in blue. I added this one, and another one. I'm not sure if it is this one or this one, but it doesn't really matter. I'll show you how I did it. So what you're going to do is you're going to copy this part over here. So this thing, I'm going to go back to the Bluehost portal. I'm going to click on add record, so the text records. And for the host record, I'm going to enter this field over here. So just copy paste that part of the Sendinblue instructions. Then you're going to click on this icon over here, and this will copy this part. So we're going to go back to the Bluehost. Near the text value, you're going to copy this. So that is actually this. So if you just click this icon, it will copy it in an instant. And then you're going to click on save. You don't have to fill in this. It will do it automatically. If you have different hosting, it might already have it on default setting. So you're going to click on save in this case. I will not click on save because I already added that part. So I'm going to click on cancel. So after that, I added the 3 others as well. So I'm just going to do that as well. I'm going to show you how to do it. So here we have creatorrec.com. So I copied that as well and I pasted it in here. So the host records. And then for this part, I'm going to click the icon again. And this is the text value. I'm going to click on save. And do note that this is the host record. As you can see, creatorrec.com. So that's my domain name. It can also be that you need to add this icon. So the add icon over here. So if we go to my Bluehost portal, you can see that I added this icon. It can also be that your host will change that automatically. So if you add your domain name like this, that it will change it automatically. But it is possible that if you add your domain name like this, it doesn't work like in a few days. So it still isn't verified. Then maybe you can change it manually to this icon. And then you're going to click on save. But in the beginning, I would just use the suggestions Sendinblue uses over here, so creatorrec.com. But like if you waited already a day or maybe 2 days, 2 days is the max. And if it still isn't verified, then you can use this symbol over here. You can change it. And you can change it pretty easily if you just click this icon over here and you're going to click on edit. So then we have the other 2. So it's basically the same. You're just going to copy this, you're going to copy this, and you're going to add it. So this is the host record. This is the value. So then the last one, I'm going to show you that as well. Just add new records, host records, just copy it like it is, how it is over here. Click on this icon to copy this part, text value, gonna click on save. So for me, it took like, I think around 4 hours, until every thing was configured. And also note that in my case, these 2 were configured in the beginning and these 2 were not configured yet. So it is possible that maybe the first one is already configured and the second one isn't yet. So don't get scared if that does happen to you. Just wait for at least a day, as it say over here, maybe even 2 days. And if it's still not configured after those 2 days, you can contact support to see what is going on. I'm going to click on I am done now. And now you can see it says authenticated. So that's it basically for adding your custom email address and your own domain. So if you want to import new contacts into your Sendinblue account, you're going to click on contacts, and then we're going to go to import new contacts over here. And then we're going to click on upload a new file. So let's say you have a spreadsheet, for example, this spreadsheet. So we have 3 columns. So we have column A, B, and C. In the first column, we have the name field, which is the first name in this case. In the column B, we have the email address. So this is required, obviously, if you want to import a contact to have the email address. And in the column C, I added a state. So we have state 1, we have state 2, and we have state 3. It doesn't matter how many states you want to add, but this is a pretty handy way if you want to segment your audience based upon in what state they're in. So let's say you want to send specific newsletters to state 1. You can do that if you have that information about your contacts. So if you want to talk differently to your audience based upon in what state they're in, or maybe in the gender, or whatever the case, or maybe their age, make sure to add all that information in this spreadsheet when you import that into Sendinblue, because you can use that information when you send newsletters to your audience to segment based upon these data points. So I'm going to import this file. I'm going to click on File. I'm going to click on download, and I'm going to download a CSV file, and then I'm going to import that file into Sendinblue. So I'm going to click on this thing over here. I'm going to import my CSV file I just downloaded. I'm uploading the file right now, and as you can see, we have 3 columns over here. So make sure you have all the columns that are also in your spreadsheet. So we have the name field, the email address, and the state. I'm going to click on confirm your file. So the next thing we need to do is we need to connect the proper data points to the contact attributes inside Sendinblue. So we have the first name, and here in Sendinblue it says do not import. So apparently Sendinblue does not know what to do with this data. So in this case, I'm going to connect it to first name. So if you leave it at do not import, that data will not be imported. So make sure you connect it to the proper contact attribute inside Sendinblue. So in this case, I'm going to connect it to first name. So the email address, the most important thing, obviously, we need to connect it to email if it isn't already. So then lastly, we have the state attributes. We need to connect it to the proper custom fields or the contact attribute inside Sendinblue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new attribute. So I'm going to click on add a new attribute over here. That's what you're going to do as well. And then you can choose these things over here. In this case, I'm going to use a text. Over here, you're going to fill in the state. So in my case, I already have a list attribute called state. So I'm going to call it state name. I'm going to click on create. So now we have connected the data points with the proper contact attributes inside Sendinblue. So I'm going to click on confirm mapping. So the next thing we need to select a list. You can either select one of your existing lists if you already created a list, but you can also create a new list if you click on create a list. So one thing to mention about lists, you can create basically unlimited amount of lists, but I'm not sure that is the best way to go about segmenting your audience. So you can use a list for segmenting your audience, but you can also just have one list. So one main list, for example, and use the information you have about your audience, like inside the import, to segment your audience instead of using the list to segment your audience, right? Because you can also create lists for every state, for example, but you can also add that information inside the context tab, right? So there are numerous ways to segment your audience, but I think the most straightforward way is just to have one list and then add custom attributes. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to create one main list. Then I need to select a folder so I can create so inside my list tab, I can create folders to organize my different lists. I'm just going to call it, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it main list, create a new folder, then create list. So main list, folder, main list. 0 context at the moment. And then I'm going to say confirm your list. Then we have finalize your import. I'm going to leave this as default. And then we have the opt-in agreement. So this one is required to be able to click this button to confirm the import. So I'm going to click on this. So this basically is saying that they gave me permission to send them emails. So make sure you read these 3 things before you're going to click on confirm your imports. Basically means that you cannot just buy a list. Keep in mind that these people need to gave their permission to you in order to email them. I'm going to click on confirm your import, and as you can see, I now added these 4 contacts into my main list. So the import is done. So if I open one of these contacts, you can see if you click on display all attributes, if we scroll down a little bit, here you can see the state name, and that is the name that we added to this email address, for example. So you can double check it if it's done properly. So here you can see state 3 for this email address. So that is this email address and it's correct. The state name is state 3. And that is your way of segmenting your audience, right? So you can use that information for sending newsletters later on. So your import is done. So to send a newsletter and to segment that newsletter, you're going to go to campaigns, and then here you're going to click on email, and here we can create a new email campaign. So let's say, for example, I'm writing a new book and I want to send an email campaign promoting a free chapter of that book. I'm going to call this free chapter book X. So my book is called X. I'm going to click on create campaign. I'm just going to walk you through all the steps. So I'm going to click on add from. So who's sending this email campaign? I'm going to select the email address I want to send this email from. I'm going to select the name. So the next thing, I need to add recipients. So I'm going to click on this button over here. And here I can send to a specific list. So I'm going to select my main list. I can select multiple lists if I want, as you can see. but in this case, I'm going to select my main list. Note that I don't want to send this newsletter to the overall list. I'm going to send this newsletter to a specific segment of this list. So I'm going to click on add conditions over here, and then I'm going to select the state. So if you saw that part of me importing new context to Sendinblue, you remember that I added a column C, right? So I added a state. So let's say, for example, I want to segment on that specific state. So I'm going to type in the filter. I'm going to type in the filter state. Over here we have the text attribute. So that is the state attributes that we added when importing the context. And as you can see, we can now filter on that specific segment of our audience. So over here we have some options over here. So it's exactly or contains or ends with. In this case, I want to send to only to the state 1 people. So I'm gonna say state 1. I'm gonna click on add, validate this condition. So as you can see, 2 recipients are in this filter. And as you can see, there are 2 email addresses that are in this state 1. So that is correct. So as you can see, this is a great way to segment your audience and to only send a newsletter to a specific part of your audience, basically. So I'm going to click on save. I'm going to continue. I'm going to add a subject line over here. So I'm going to say free chapter, the preview text. It is pretty nice that you can see how it looks inside your email inbox. I added the preview text. I wrote a new book and want to give you a free chapter. And this is how it looks. I'm going to click on save. And now we can design our email content. So you can choose specific layouts. You can also use a simple layout, so text only layout, or you can start from scratch. You can also select a specific template, a specific designer template. So there are 41 designer templates, as you can see. You can use the categories to filter if you want. You can also select my template. So if you created templates in the past, then you can reuse that same template. You can just change the content. So that's pretty nice. And then over here, we also have the HTML editor, so you can code your own template if you prefer that. So in this case, I'm going to use the default template. So I'm going to click on use templates. Here you can make sure it looks and fine on mobile as well. You can switch between these two. So the editor works pretty straightforward. If you want to add some text below this headline, for example, you can just select this text icon over here and you can drag it below the headline. And it's pretty easy. So this works pretty straightforward. It works really nice. So if you want to change, for example, a specific part of the text, you can do it over here. So over here, you can change the font size and everything. But if you want to change every text part inside the email, you can also go to this tab over here, the design tab. And here you can change the overall layout of your email newsletter. So for example, if you want to change to a different font, as you can see, the font changes everywhere instead of changing it individually. So that is this is pretty nice. If you want to change the size, for example, you can do that over here in the design tab. And what is also pretty cool inside Sendinblue newsletter, the editor, is that you can use navigation, for example. So let's say if you have a pretty long email, you can link to specific parts of your email. So this is pretty unique. I haven't come across many email service providers that offer this option. So let's say I want to add a link to this specific text to, for example, this title. Then I first need to add an anchor text to this specific title. So I'm going to click on this icon over here, link. And then we scroll down and we say anchor for relative links. And then we're going to call this one, for example, title 1. So I'm going to scroll back again. I'm going to click this link text and I'm going to click this icon again. And here I'm going to scroll down as well. And here it says relative link to anchor. So I'm going to select that one. I'm going to select the link and I'm going to click on insert. So then another thing, let's say you want to add a YouTube video to your newsletter. The best way to do that is to add an image to your newsletter and then use, for example, a thumbnail you use for your YouTube video and then add a link to that image to that YouTube video. But that's the best way to add a YouTube video inside your newsletter. So here you can add an image. And then if you want to add a link to this specific image, you can just click this icon over here. And here you can add a link. So the link targets, for example, a YouTube video. And then insert. Now this image links to that specific YouTube video. So according to the Sendinblue blog, that is the best way to do it. So insert a static image with a link. This is the recommended way. So you can also choose to use an animated GIF. So this is also pretty cool. That it's a little bit more intriguing if you use a GIF. You can also do an embedded video, but they don't recommend this method. So here it says Sendinblue does not recommend this option for including video in email as it may harm your email deliverability. So the rest is pretty straightforward. You can play around with this editor. So then one more thing over here, if you want to delete the logo of Sendinblue, if I click the delete block over here, as you can see, I need to upgrade my plan. So this feature is not included in the free or light plan. So you need to upgrade to the premium plan, or you can purchase the add-on feature. As you can see over here, we have the 3 different packages. So the light plan, you cannot remove the logo yet. So you need to purchase the light plus add-on feature. So that's $12 per month, the add-on, and there you can remove the Sendinblue logo if you want to do that. But that's it basically pretty much about the newsletter. One more thing, obviously, before you want to send your newsletter, you're going to send a test email. And over here, if you click on actions, you're going to click on send a test email, and I'm gonna send a test email right now to see if everything works fine. So do note that my test email, for example, landed in the promotion folder. So do check your spam folder or every other folder you have inside your email provider. So my email didn't land in my inbox. So let me check this link button over here. So if I click this link, and as you can see, it pops to this part of the newsletter. So that's pretty cool. And then if I click on this image over here, and as you can see, the YouTube video opens as well. So everything works fine. So if we want to go back to the editing part, I'm gonna close this window over here, and then I'm gonna select continue. So now we have done the from name, the to, the subject line, the design. Then we have the advanced settings. I'm gonna click on edit settings. So here we can activate the Google Analytics tracking. I suggest you do that if you use Google Analytics, so you can track if people click on certain links. So you can see that inside Google Analytics. Here you can add the campaign value. The rest of it, I'll leave at default. I'm going to click on save. I'm going to scroll back up, and here I'm going to click on schedule. So here I can either choose to send it now or schedule for later. So I'm going to click on send now, and I'm going to click on the button send now. So as you can see, note that if you click the button send now, the campaign immediately sends. So you need to keep that in mind. So congratulations, your campaign was successfully created. Your campaign is queued to be sent. So this is the email I just sent, free chapter book X. So if I refresh this page right now, we can see the reports. So here we can see this email campaign is delivered to 2 recipients. One opened the email, and because I just opened the email over here. So if we click the report tab over here, we can see a little bit more stuff. So here we can see the total clicks, the unique clicks. So that's it basically for sending a regular email campaign inside Sendinblue. Pretty much every website has a sidebar like this, right? So they have an opt-in form next to their blog post, or they have an inline form inside their blog post. So this is what I'm going to show you, how I created this opt-in form and how I added that opt-in form into my WordPress website. So if you want to create an opt-in form inside Sendinblue, you're going to go to contacts, and then you're going to click on forms. And over here, we can create a new subscription form. So here is the subscription form that I created for this specific sidebar, and this inline form, it's the same form. So I'll show you how the form looks like in the backend. So the editor works pretty straightforward. You can just drag and drop if you want some other elements into your opt-in form. If you want a transparent background like I have, you're going to go to form design. You can go to backgrounds, and then here you can say transparent backgrounds. You can add an image, as you can see over here. And if you want, you can also add a fields attribute to your opt-in form. So for example, you can use this single choice option, and you can add it over here. And then you can, for example, create a custom attribute. So if we go to, if I open a new tab over here, so if I right mouse click and then say open a link in new tab, we can see over here, if we go to settings and then custom attributes, here we can see our custom attributes. So if you recall that from the beginning of this tutorial, we added the state name. If you have a contact list, for example, and you want to segment on states, you can use the state field for that example. But for example, you can also use the newsletter status. So what I did over here is I added over here newsletter status, so newsletter status, and then I set category. So I'm going to click on cancel because I already added that one. So I'm going to click on this icon over here, and here you can see the categories configuration. So I have a weekly and monthly newsletter. If you have this information about your contacts, or if you ask them to give you that information, you can send them either weekly or monthly emails based upon their preference. And you can use that, for example, inside an opt-in form if you want, obviously. So this is that is not required to do or something. but because this is an extra step for when people are opting in with an opt-in form. But let's say this is a newsletter opt-in form. So let's say this says sign up for my newsletter. So this attribute list could be a pretty good add-on to your opt-in form. So you give your subscriber the option to either receive a weekly or monthly email. So you can just customize this message. So do you want to hear from me weekly or monthly? And then if we go to campaigns, so if I right click on campaigns, click on new tab, and if we create a new email campaign real quick, then I'll show you how you can use that information to segment. So if we go and add recipients, and here we can say, if we collect the main list, for example, and then we can say advanced options, and here you can say newsletter status is exactly, and then you can see weekly, for example. So now you can send this specific broadcast to the weekly subscribers, and you can do that as well for the monthly. You can also select them both if you have a newsletter that you want to send out to both subscribers. But this way you can segment real easily, and you can use that same information by creating an automation inside Sendinblue. You can use the same newsletter status inside an automation. And the cool thing about this is that they can just edit it while they are on your newsletter. So you can always say at the bottom of your newsletter, you can add a link at the bottom of your newsletter for updating their profile. So if they want to, so let's say they're on a weekly newsletter and they want to change that to a monthly newsletter, they can do so by updating their own profile. So, and how do you add that update profile link to your newsletter? You're gonna go to forms, and here you see update profile, and here you can create an update profile form. So if I click on that, I'll say monthly or weekly newsletter, and here you can change the design, and here you can say, do you want to hear from me weekly or monthly? And then you can add that single choice again, right? So you can say choose your option. You can delete these parts, so the only thing you can't delete is the email parts. So, and now if I go next and click on no confirmation email, and I'm going to say the default thank you page over here, I'm going to click on next, I'm going to click on next as well, I'm going to done. And then if I go back to that specific campaign again, I'm going to click on save, add from name. I'm just going to go through these options real quick just to show you how to add that update form to your newsletter. Subject, test, and here we're going to select the design. I'm just going to use this template. I'm going to click on continue, and here in edit settings, in advanced settings, you can use an update profile form. So I'm going to select that one, and here we can select the monthly or weekly newsletter. I'm going to click on save, and now if we go back to the design, we can now, for example, say click here to update your profile, and then you can double click this text. You're going to click this link icon, and here you can add this update your preference link. I'm going to click on insert, and now if people click on that specific link, a new window will pop up and their email address is pre-filled already, and they can just select the choice, whether it's a weekly or monthly update, and then in the backend of that specific contact, the weekly or monthly status will be updated. So that's pretty cool. So this update part was just on a side note, basically, because in this part of the tutorial, I want to showcase how I add this specific opt-in form to my sidebar of my WordPress website. So as I said before, I added this opt-in form inside the sidebar and inside the inline here as well. So this is how I created my opt-in form. It's a really basic opt-in form. There are not that many options inside this opt-in form, as you see, but you can play around with these specific fields. You can read the Sendinblue blog, check around what everything is. I'm not going through everything because then this tutorial will be pretty long. So this is the basic opt-in form that I created. Let's continue to the next steps. So I'm going to click on next, and then they say we strongly recommend you use reCAPTCHA. So that is an element that you can add. So this CAPTCHA element, I'm not gonna use that. You don't have to use that. So I'm gonna click on next. You can just go next. So I'm gonna use this email list. So that is this website. So for the people that don't know, I wrote and self-published 4 Poppy training books, so they're available in a paperback and an ebook and an audiobook as well. Around 1.5 years ago, I translated them to English, if I recall that correctly, if that's the correct date. But this is my main website, so this is the Dutch website for my 4 books, and I have a Shopify store connected to this blog where I sell these 4 books. So this is basically my main business at the moment. But that also, as well, on a side note. So let's continue. I'm gonna select this list over here, so the poppyb.com email list. You can also choose to create a new list, obviously. obviously, but I'm gonna select the poppyb.com email list. I'm gonna click on next. So now it's getting a little bit more complicated inside these settings over here. So now you need to pay attention if you didn't do that already. So here, the first step is the confirmation step. So we're gonna select the double confirmation email. And that basically means, if you don't know what it means that if someone fills in their email address over here, they first need to confirm their email address. So they will receive an email from me, from Sendinblue basically, to confirm their email address in order to add them to our newsletter. So that is the double confirmation email. And I will show you the process real quick in a bit so you know how it works. So the first thing you need to do over here is you need to write an email for that double opt-in confirmation email. So that is a little bit of a drawback of Sendinblue, that you cannot write that email while creating this opt-in form. So you need to go back. So I'm gonna click on the right mouse button over here. I'm gonna click on open a new tab because I want to have this tab open. I'm gonna go to templates over here, and here you write the templates you wanna add inside this opt-in form. So this is, in my opinion, a little bit too complicated than needed. But anyhow, I created a new template over here, so a new email basically, and that is this email. So double opt-in confirmation email, free Poppy socialization checklist. I'm gonna click on edit the email content so you see how the email looks like. Over here you see hello. So you or someone has requested our free ebook using the email address email. So after clicking the confirmation button below, the free ebook download will start automatically. By clicking the confirmation button, you are subscribed to our newsletter. So that is one thing I added as well. So they know that if they click the button, they will not only receive that ebook, but they will also be subscribed to the newsletter. Then we have some more information over here. You can pause the video if you want to read that. So then confirm my subscription, and if you click on this button, you can see what kind of link there is on this button. So if I click on add link, here you can see the type of link is the double opt-in link. That is what you need to add as well. And then we have a footer over here. This is a footer that is automatically generated by Sendinblue. So I'm going to click on continue. That is the email, save and activate. Also, when you created the template, when you created the email template, you can go back to your opt-in form and you can refresh the page. And once you refresh the page, you can go back to settings, and now you can select that confirmation email that you created. So it is a little bit of a complicated process instead of just writing the email inside this tab we're in right now. So then we have the next tab, which is the confirmation page after submitting the form. So what do you want to happen if someone fills in their email address and clicks on the button download checklist? So in my case, I created a custom page on my website because Sendinblue doesn't have the option to create a custom page for this specific opt-in form. So I created a custom page on my website, and that custom page is this page. So when someone fills in their email address over here, they will be redirected to this page. Please check your email. Within 60 seconds, you'll receive an email, and in that email, you'll find the free download you just requested. That is the free checklist. Then we have this setting, confirmation page after clicking on the validation link in the email. So when someone clicks this button, confirm my subscription, what is the next thing that you want to happen? So my preference would be that if someone clicks this button, the download will automatically trigger. So normally I add a Google Drive link to this button over here, or I add the file itself if I can upload the file inside Sendinblue. But sadly, Sendinblue doesn't have that option. So what I did over here, I created another custom page on my website to give away that specific free checklist. So I'm gonna open that page over here inside my browser. So this is the page that people will see when they click this button, confirm my subscription. And this is the page content. So subscription confirmed, download your free ebook. Great to see you joined our newsletter. As promised, you can download the socialization checklist below. And if people click this image or this button over here, the download will automatically trigger. So this is the free checklist over here, as you can see. So as you can see, it is a little bit of a complicated process. Then finally, we have the final confirmation email. So once a contact has clicked in the double opt-in confirmation email, send them a final confirmation email. So this is not required to do, so you don't have to send a final confirmation email, obviously. You can just deselect this one if it is not selected already. But if you want, you can send a final confirmation email, and that is what I did with this specific opt-in. So I did create a final confirmation email. So to be able to create a new email for this specific final confirmation email, you need to go back to templates and you need to create a new template again for that final confirmation email. So as you can see, it is a little bit of a complicated process, right? So this is the final confirmation email that I created for this specific email. So this is the final confirmation email that I created. So it says, do you have a puppy? So you can pause the video if you want to read the content of this email. But the idea of this email is to further segment my audience. So what I do over here is I link to another update my profile form. So I created this new tab over here. So if we go to forms and then update profile, we have this puppybee.com update profile form. And if we open that, it says update your preferences. Share your situation to receive puppy tips curated for your situation. So we have 4 options over here. So unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy. Haven't chosen the dog breed yet. Our puppy is born but still at the breeder. I have my puppy at home. So I can segment my audience based upon in what situation they are in, and I can send them relevant emails based upon their situation. So again, their email will be pre-filled already if they click this button over here. Obviously, this is not required to do, but this is just to show you that you can segment your audience in this way. This is an option to segment your audience further down the line. So once you created the template of this final confirmation email, you can then select it over here. Then I'm going to click on next. Then I'll leave the rest of the settings as default. I'm going to click on next as well. And then over here, we have the link. So I can use this link to open the opt-in form that I created. So this is one way of distributing your opt-in form. You can download a QR code, and you can also use the iframe HTML or simple HTML. So if I go to my WordPress website, I'm going to click on the dashboard over here to showcase how I added this opt-in form inside my WordPress site. So what I did, you need to install this plugin. So which is the insert headers and footers plugin. You can just search for this plugin, insert headers and footers. It's a free plugin, and you want to install that on your WordPress website. So you need to add a script in the header. So in here, and you need to add this script in the footer. So what is the script that you need to add? So if we click on HTML, this is the script we need to add. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to click one time over here, then you can copy it. And then if I open a text editor over here just to show you how it looks. So this is the script, and it is a little bit complicated as well. So what you need to do over here is the first part. So here it says, we recommend to place the below code in the head tag of your website HTML. So that is basically this part over here, scripts in the header. So what you want to do here is we want to copy this part, and then here it says we recommend to place the above code in the head tag of the website. So this is basically the code up until here. You want to copy this code inside the header over here. As you can see, that is what I did. Then we scroll down, then we have the footer. So if we go back to the footer, that is the bottom part, and here you see we recommend to place the below code in the footer or bottom of your website. So I'm going to copy this, and here it says we recommend to place the above code in the footer. So this is the part that we need to place in the footer. You're going to copy that one, and you're going to paste it in here. So scripts in the footer. Then you're going to click on save. And then the next thing is you're going to go to appearance and then widgets. And here we're going to add the Sendinblue widgets to our sidebar. So this is the widget code. And if we go back to our text editor over here, so the middle part is what you want to add to your widget. So here you can see we recommend to place the below code where you want the form in your website to appear. You need to copy it up until this part over here. So this is the part you want to copy, and then you're going to add it into the widget. So you're going to click the plus icon over here, and then you're going to search for HTML, so custom HTML. And here you can just copy paste this code into the widget. I'm going to remove it because I already added it, obviously. Then you're going to click on updates, and then it should work, as you can see over here. And then this part over here, so if I click on edit post, if you want to add that inline widget, you're going to click on the plus icon here as well, and you're going to add a custom HTML here as well. And then you can copy the same code that you added into the widgets, and you can add that as well inside the inline form here. So if I click on preview right now, there should be 2 of those inline forms. And as you can see, there are 2 inline forms. So it is a little bit of a complicated process, but that is how you add this form to your WordPress website. I'm going to click on done. So now if I enter my email address over here and click on download checklist, you can see it is redirecting this page to this page. So that is correct. If we go back to the form and we go to the settings, you can see over here confirmation page after submitting the form. which is this page, and this is the page that we just redirected to. So now we should have received the double opt-in confirmation email. So I'm going to open my email address to see if I received that email. And as you can see, this is the email that I received. Free puppy socialization checklist, confirm my subscription. So I'm going to click on confirm my subscription. And when I click this button, this page should open. So I'm gonna click this button to see if that page opens. And as you see, this is the page that opens right now. And now the subscription is confirmed. And now I can download the ebook. Now, the next thing is that I also should receive that final confirmation email. So I'm gonna check my email to see if I received that email. And yes, I did receive the email. Do note that this email landed in my promotion folder. So make sure to check your spam folder, promotion folder, if you don't see that email pop up in your inbox. So if I click right now on select one of the 4 options, you can see it redirects to update your preferences. And now my email address is already pre-filled, so people, your subscribers, don't have to re-enter their email address. Choose whatever option they want and then click on update. Update successfully, your profile information has been updated. See you soon. So now I can segment my newsletters based upon their information they give me. So if we go back to Sendinblue and we check the contacts, and we're gonna see this email address to see what kind of attributes they have inside their contacts fields. So here you can see the bucket status. So that is what I called this custom attributes. Haven't chosen the dog breed yet. So now I can segment my newsletters based upon that attribute if I want. But again, this is not required. So please do note that this may be a little bit of an advanced to intermediate email marketing strategy. So don't feel obligated to follow this same strategy. You don't have to use these segments to send newsletters to your audience. So please don't make it more complicated than needed in the beginning. So that's it, basically all you need to know about creating forms, creating update profiles, and using this stuff for segmenting your audience as well. So if you want to create an automation, you're going to click on automation. And then here we can see our active automations. So we can create a new workflow. So an automation is called a workflow. And here you can see the automations we have active. So you can also see, if you click this one, you can see which automations are paused or which workflows. So as you can see, there are some automations that are in concept. So if we click on active and we're going to select the starting series for beginners, I created 3 automations to get you familiar with what automations are and how you can use them. So I created this first one for beginners. So the starting series for beginners. So this is the most straightforward automation. So this is the automation. So this is the entry point for the automation. So when will this automation start? This automation will start when the form free puppy socialization checklist has been submitted. So that is this form that we created earlier in this tutorial, right? So if someone enters his or her email address inside this form and they confirm their email address and they are a new subscriber to our email list, this automation will trigger. So this automation will start. So the first step in this automation is a wait period for 1 hour. And you can tweak this. If you click on this pencil icon over here, you can say whether it's a week, a month, some minutes. And it's really easy to add a wait period. You can just click this plus icon over here. You're gonna scroll down a little bit and you can see here, add a delay, and that is the wait period. So I'm gonna click on back because I already added a wait period over here. So after 1 hour, someone submits his or her email address in this form, he or she will receive the first email. So the starting series email 1. So starting series email 1, that is the name I gave to that specific email. So then there is another wait period for 1 day, and then another email will be sent to that subscriber. So that email will be starting series email 2, for example. So I've used the same email just to make it easier for me. So I don't have to create another email, but the idea obviously will be that you'll send them different emails. You're not gonna send people the same email, obviously. So this will be email number 2, for example. Then there is another wait period for 2 days, and then email 3 will be sent to that subscriber. And as you can imagine, you can go on and on with this. So for example, with my dog training website I have a similar automation sequence. And in my automation sequence, it is an automation sequence of around a couple of months, I think 4 to 6 months. And I've scheduled around maybe 20 to 30 emails or something across those months. So if someone joins my email list through one of my forms. So for example, this form, if people can download a free checklist, for example, they will be added to my email list and they will receive emails from me for the upcoming months. So I don't have to manually email them every single week to nurture my audience. So that is the great advantage of using automations like this. So you don't have to weekly email your new subscribers. So you can use your automations to sell them your services, your products, and everything you've got going on inside your business. So as said before, this is a starting series for beginners, but it's a really good starting series. You don't have to do anything more than this. Basically, the idea is just to have good emails, and that's it basically. But if your business requires some more segmentation, because this automation sequence, for example, has only one segment, right? Everyone that goes through this sign-up form will receive this automation at the moment. So if your business requires a little bit more segmentation, so if you think you have a diverse audience and you don't want to send them the same emails, so you want to segment your emails based upon what kind of situation your audience is in, you can use the more intermediate or advanced segmentation strategy for automations. So we're going to click on automations again. I'll show you what an intermediate automation looks like. And this is an example for an intermediate automation. So I'll open that one. And as you can see over here, the entry point for this automation, so the trigger for when this automation will start, is when the bucket status is same as unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy. So if I open a new tab over here, so right mouse click, open a link in new tab, I'll show you this bucket so you have a better understanding what this is. So I'm gonna go to settings over here, and over here we have contact attributes. And here you can add a new attribute, as I explained earlier in this tutorial. And here you can have this bucket status, for example. So I called it the bucket status. So that is the different buckets I place my audience in to segment my audience, basically. So what I did over here is I add a new attribute. I called it bucket status and I use the category. I'm gonna click on cancel because I already did it. So that's this category. I'm gonna click this gear icon over here, and here you can see the different categories. So that's the different buckets basically I'm segmenting my audience. So the first one is unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy. So that's the first bucket, and that's the first automation that I created. So if Sendinblue notice that this attribute, so that the bucket status attribute becomes active for a specific contact for this specific category, so unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy. So if someone tells me that they are unsure that they're ready for a puppy, this automation will start. But maybe now you're wondering, how do these new contacts tell me this bucket status, right? Because we have this opt-in form. So how do new contacts tell me in what kind of bucket they are? So what I did over here, if we go back, so I created 3 automations here, right? So this first one, I'm going to add a custom field when this form is triggered. So if someone enters his or her email address in this specific opt-in form, this automation will trigger, and that contact will be updated with this attribute. So the bucket status will be set to unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy. So that will be done automatically. And I'll explain the strategy behind this a little bit. When you're thinking about adopting a puppy, the first stage that you could be in could be unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy, right? So you're thinking about, okay, should I adopt a puppy or not? So you're gonna do some research online. So when you've gone through that stage, the next stage will be, okay, I'm ready for a puppy, but what dog breed should I get, right? So what dog breed suits my situation? So that's the next stage my audience will get into. So once my audience has chosen a specific dog breed that suits their specific situation and their specific needs, the next step will be our puppy is born, but still at the breeder. So I have custom emails for that specific segment. So after that, if they've gone through that specific stage, they will have their puppy at home. So right, these are the 4 different stages I created for my specific audience, and that will be different for your audience, obviously. But now you have a better overview of how I've set these different stages for my audience, and maybe you can come up with some stages for your audience as well, so you can personalize the emails to your audience. But do note, this is a little bit of an intermediate strategy. So if you're totally new to email marketing, please don't do this. Just focus on that beginner automation I showed you. Just use one automation and go on from there. So I'm going to click on cancel. I'm going to go back to the automation. So when someone submits his or her email address in this specific opt-in form, he or she will be, that contact will be updated with the attributes, I'm unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy. If we go back to that earlier automation, so the bucket 1, I call that bucket 1, so I'm unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy. So if Sendinblue notices that that attribute has been updated for a specific contact, that contact will get triggered to go through this specific automation. So after someone opts in through this specific opt-in form, and after the wait period of 1 hour, they will receive the first email from me. And if I click on the email right here, we can see the email over here, and we can also edit the email content. So I've added a couple of lines over here, and I'll quickly go over the message over here. So the idea is, I'll read it to you. So note that for the upcoming days that I will send you tips to find out if you're ready for a puppy or not, right? That's the first of my stages for my audience. So if you already know that you're ready for a puppy, or maybe you have your puppy at home already, please let me know. Click here to select one of the 4 situations to receive puppy training tips related to your situation. So this text, click here. I want to give this a link to update their preferences so they can choose themselves in what kind of situation they are, in what kind of stage they are. So I can send them relevant emails based upon their situation. So I'm going to click on this link, and as you will see right now, I cannot click the update your preferences yet, because we need to select the update form we want to use inside this email before we can do this. So I'm gonna save this email right now. I'm gonna click on continue and save, and I'm gonna go to setup over here. And if we scroll down here you can see use a custom update profile form. So now it says none, and that was the reason that we could not add a link to that specific text to add an update form. So over here we can select the puppyb.com update form, and that is the update form that I created before. So if I right mouse click over here, open a link, a new tab, if I go to contacts, update profile, and if I open this puppyb.com, so this is the update your preferences, let me know your situation, right? These are one of the 4 situations. So I'm gonna select that one, and I'm gonna click next step. And if I now, the design, if I edit the email contact, and if I now use this text again and will add a link to it, now I can click this update your preferences link. And if someone clicks that link, they will that form will open, the email address will be pre-filled, and they can let me know in what situation they're in. So I'm gonna click on continue. I'm gonna save and activate. I'm gonna go back to my automation over here. So that is the first email. So then there is a wait period for 1 week, for example. And then there is the if-else statement. So if I click this plus icon over here, if I scroll down, here you see the if-else conditions statement. If I click that one, you can select what kind of conditions you wanna use. So in this case, I've used the contact details and then the contact attributes condition. If I open that, you can see you can choose what kind of contact attribute you wanna use. In this case, the bucket status, unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy. So I'm gonna go back because I already added that one over here. I'm gonna go back. So if else, contact attributes, bucket status, same as unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy. If that is still yes, so if they didn't update their preferences, they will just receive email number 2. Right? And then they will go through the stages of all the emails, of all the messages I have ready for them. So there will be a couple of months of emails that I'll help them go through all the stages. So then there is another wait period for 1 week. Then there is another if-else statement. And again, I'm going to check whether the status of that contact attribute is still unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy. So if yes, a new email will be sent. So if it is no, so if it changed for some reason, if it changed because they changed it in that link, they updated the preferences, they will not receive another email in this sequence. So what you will do, you will copy this automation or create a new automation. And instead of using this trigger, so this trigger is bucket status is same as unsure whether I'm ready for a puppy, you're gonna use a different trigger, which will be like the second stage, right? And you go through all the 4 stages and you create 4 different automations. So, and that is also the reason that I said in the beginning, please don't use this strategy if you're totally new to email marketing, because this means that you need to create 4 different automations. You need to create all kinds of different emails. You know, like if you have 10 emails in every automation, that means you have 40 emails in total. You need to keep track of. You need to change. If you change a price, for example, in one of your products, you need to tweak every email where you mention that product. So that is really time consuming. I have done this before, and it is a little bit of a frustrating job if you want to update certain things. So I have gone through like the 4 stages, like 4 automations, like as I described in this example, but I've also gone back to just one automation. So I've tested different things, but the reason I'm showing you this is not to make you more confused about how to set this up. It's just to show you like what you can do with segmentations and all that stuff inside Sendinblue. So that's it basically for automations. You can do lots of more stuff obviously, but I'm not going through every little thing. I'm just showing you what can be done for segmentation, because I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, I would suggest, if you're totally new to this, start with the starting series. Just use one funnel like this and keep improving that funnel, and once you're ready, you can start working with some segmentations. Or if your business really requires you to send personalized emails to your audience instead of just one email, one funnel, then you can use this segmentation strategy I explained earlier, the intermediate strategy. If you have any questions related to this automation, please let me know down below in the comments. I'm happy to help.